Deuteronomy 29th chapter, 10 through the 29th verse. You are standing today, all of you, before Yahuwah your Elohim, the heads of your tribes, your elders and your officers, all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the sojourner who is in your camp, from the one who chops your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you may enter into the sworn covenant of Yahuwah your Elohim, which Yahuwah your Elohim is making with you today, that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your Elohim as he promised you and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. It is not with you alone that I am making this sworn covenant, but with whoever is standing here with us today before Yahuwah our Elohim, and with whoever is not here with us today. You know how we lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through in the midst of the nations through which you passed. And you have seen their detestable things, their idols of wood and stone, of silver and gold, which were among them. Beware lest there be among you a man, a woman, a clan, a tribe, whose heart is turning away today from Yahuwah our Elohim to go and serve the gods of those nations. Beware lest there be among you a root bearing poisonous and bitter fruit, one who, when he hears the words of this sworn covenant, blesses himself in his heart, saying, I shall be safe, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart. This will lead to the sweeping away of moist and dry alike. Yahuwah will not be willing to forgive him, but rather the anger of Yahuwah and his jealousy will smoke against that man, and the curses written in this book will settle upon him. And Yahuwah will blot out his name from under heaven, and Yahuwah will single him out from among all the tribes of Israel for calamity, in accordance with all the curses of the covenant written in this book of the law. And the next generation, your children who rise up after you, and the foreigner who comes from a far land, will say, when they see the afflictions of that land and the sicknesses with which Yahuwah has made it sick, the whole land burned out with brimstone and salt, nothing sown and nothing growing, where no plant can sprout, an overthrow like that of Sodom and Gomorrah, Atmah, and Zebulun, which Yahuwah overthrew in his anger and wrath. All the nations will say, why has Yahuwah done thus to this land? What caused the heat of this great anger? Then people will say, it is because they abandoned the covenant of Yahuwah, the Elohim of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt, and went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods whom they had not known, and whom he had not allowed it to them. Therefore the anger of Yahuwah was kindled against this land, bringing upon it all the curses written in this book. And Yahuwah uprooted them from their land in anger and fury and great wrath, and cast them into another land, as they are this day. The secret things belong to Yahuwah our Elohim, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Deuteronomy 30, 1 through 20. And when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you call them to mind among all the nations where Yahuwah your Elohim has driven you, and return to Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your children, and obey his voice and all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your soul. Then Yahuwah your Elohim will restore your fortunes and have mercy on you. And he will gather you again from all the peoples where Yahuwah your Elohim has scattered you. If your outcasts are in the uttermost part of the heaven, from where Yahuwah your Elohim will gather you, and from where he will take you. And Yahuwah your Elohim will bring you into the land that your fathers possessed, that you may possess it. And he will make you more prosperous and numerous than your fathers. And Yahuwah your Elohim will circumcise your heart and the heart of your offspring, so that you will love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. And Yahuwah your Elohim will put all these curses on your foes and enemies who persecuted you. And you shall again obey the voice of Yahuwah and keep all his commandments that I command you today. Yahuwah your Elohim will make you abundantly prosperous in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your womb, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground. For Yahuwah will again take delight in prospering you, as he took delight in your fathers. When you obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim to keep his commandments and his statutes that are written in this book of the law, when you turn to Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. For this commandment that I command you today is not too hard for you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven that you should say, who will ascend to heaven for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, that you can do it. See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil. If you obey the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim that I command you today, by loving Yahuwah your Elohim, by walking in his ways, and by keeping his commandments and his statutes and his rules, then you shall live and multiply, and Yahuwah your Elohim will bless you in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. But if your heart turns away, and you will not hear, but are drawn away to worship other gods and serve them, I declare to you today that you shall surely perish. You shall not live long in the land that you are going over the Jordan to enter and possess. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore, choose life, that you and your offspring may live, loving Yahuwah your Elohim, obeying his voice, and holding fast to him. For he is your life and length of days, that you may dwell in the land that Yahuwah swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Isaiah 61, verses 10 and 11. I will greatly rejoice in Yahuwah. My soul shall exult in my Elohim. For he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decks himself like a priest with a beautiful headdress, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the earth brings forth its sprouts, and as a garden causes what is sown in it to sprout up, so Yahuwah Elohim will cause righteousness and praise to sprout up before all the nations.
Isaiah, Yeshayahu, chapter 62. For Zion's sake I am not silent, and for Jerusalem's sake I do not rest, until her righteousness goes forth as brightness, and her deliverance as a lamp that burns. And the nations shall see your righteousness, and all sovereigns your esteem. And you shall be called by a new name, which the mouth of Yahuwah designates. And you shall be a crown of comeliness in the hand of Yahuwah, and a royal headdress in the hand of your Elohim. No longer are you called forsaken, and no longer is your land called deserted, but you shall be called Hephzibah, and your land married. For Yahuwah shall delight in you, and your land be married. For as a young man marries a maiden, so shall your sons marry you. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall your Elohim rejoice over you. I have set watchmen on your walls, O Jerusalem, all the day and all the night continually, who are not silent. You who remember Yahuwah, give yourselves no rest, and give him no rest, till he establishes, and till he makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth. Yahuwah has sworn by his right hand, and by the arms of his strength. No more do I give your grain to be food for your enemies, nor do sons of the foreigner drink your new wine, for which you have labored. But those gathering it shall eat it, and praise Yahuwah, and those collecting it shall drink it in my set-apart courts. Pass through the gates. Prepare the way for the people. Build up the highway. Remove the stones. Lift up a banner for the peoples. See, Yahuwah has proclaimed to the end of the earth. Say to the daughter of Zion, see, your deliverance has come. See, his reward is with him, and his work before him. And they shall be called the set-apart people, the redeemed of Yahuwah. And you shall be called, sought out, a city not forsaken.
Isaiah 63, verses 1 through 9. Who is this who comes from Edom in crimson garments from Bozrah? He who is splendid in his apparel, marching in the greatness of his strength. It is I, speaking in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is your apparel red, and your garments like his who treads in the winepress? I have trodden the winepress alone, and from the peoples no one was with me. I trod them in my anger, and trampled them in my wrath. Their life blood splattered on my garments, and stained all my apparel. For the day of vengeance was in my heart, and my year of redemption had come. I looked, but there was no one to help. I was appalled, but there was no one to uphold. So my own arm brought me salvation, and my wrath upheld me. I trampled down the peoples in my anger. I made them drunk in my wrath, and I poured out their life blood on the earth. I will recount the steadfast love of Yahuwah, the praises of Yahuwah, according to all that Yahuwah has granted us, and the great goodness to the house of Israel. that he has granted them according to his companion, according to the abundance of his steadfast love. For he said, surely they are my people, children who will not deal falsely, and he became their Savior. In all their affliction he was afflicted, and the angel of his presence saved them. In his love and in his pity he redeemed them. He lifted them up and carried them all the days of old. Romans 10th chapter 1 through 18. Brothers, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for them is that they may be saved. For I bear them witness that they have a zeal for Elohim, but not according to knowledge. For, being ignorant of the righteousness of Elohim and seeking to establish their own, they did not submit to Elohim's righteousness. For Messiah is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. For Moses writes about the righteousness that is based on the law, that the person who does the commandments shall live by them. But the righteousness based on faith says, do not say in your heart, who will ascend into heaven, that is, to bring Messiah down, or who will descend into the abyss, that is, to bring Messiah up from the dead. But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is, the word of faith that we proclaim. Because if you confess with your mouth that Yahushua is master and believe in your heart that Elohim raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved. For the scripture says, everyone who believes in him will not be put to shame. For there is no distinction between Jew and Greek. For the same master is master of all, bestowing his riches on all who call on him. For everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah will be saved. How then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they have never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. But they have not all obeyed the good news. For Isaiah says, Yahuwah, who has believed what he has heard from us? So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the word of Messiah. But I ask, have they not heard? Indeed they have, for their voice has gone out to all the earth, and their words to the ends of the world.